Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about my life story. We can start when I was young. Oh, there's a text message. Anyways, we can start when I was young. My mom is an alcoholic, has been my entire life. Um, my dad was never present. I basically grew up with my Grandma Gail and my Grandpa Steve and my great grandparents, my Grandma Bernie and my Grandpa Jean. They all lived a block away from me in separate directions. And my mom would go into drinking binges that were generally around a day or so long, and she would be in a basic comatose. And she would be passed out, so that one of them would come pick us up and take care of us. My family owned a restaurant in the town we lived in. It was only, the town's population was only 400, so the business was nice. You got to know a lot of people through it. Growing up in a small town is pretty hard. I mean, you know everyone knows you, everyone knows all your business, but it's also really nice too. I gained a lot of friends through it, but a lot of them haven't really stuck around. Fast forward to around 6 years old, I met my dad for the first time. My great grandparents, took me to where he lives, and I went camping with him. Apparently, I don't really remember, but allegedly I did. I didn't see him again until I was around around 13-ish, in the 10 to 13 area. I don't remember ages. But he came to my house and he picked me up and took me fishing. We hung out for about an hour, and then he took me home and dropped me off, and I haven't really talked to him since. The last time I talked to him, I was around 15, and he called me for my mom's number so he could call her and harass her. And basically at the end of the phone conversation, he hung up on me and called me a bitch. He's a douchebag. He didn't tell his current wife about me until just a little while ago. Anyways, I don't even remember what I've said so far. I have 2 siblings that live with me. I have 2 other siblings that I know of, that one lives in town and one lives with my dad still. And I have another sibling that I don't know. I don't know. I think it's a boy. I don't know his name. Anything. It was my dad's kid. Okay. Back to timeline. When I was around 10 to 12 region? No, that's not right. Let's say, 10 to 12 region, okay. My Grandpa Steve cheated on my Grandma Gail with her best friend and divorced her. He doesn't really communicate with us these days. I mean, we get a Christmas card every now and then. And after he left my Grandma Gail, my Grandma Gail was trying to run the restaurant business by herself, and the stress of the divorce and running the business, her health declined a lot. She has COPD and emphysema and lots of lung diseases. And she had to basically live in a town about 3 hours away from us for a year or so for pulmonary rehabilitation and strengthening her lungs and getting them ready. So, trying to fix them in a sense. And getting them ready for, I don't know the entire story, but she had her first lung surgery, and it was a lung reduction surgery that was kind of rocky. Her lung collapsed. She was pretty out of it, but she came back from that. Trying to think of the timeline. After she got done with Boise, she was back with us for a while in the same town. And then we all moved to a town about 45 minutes away from where we lived. It has a population of about 1,400 or 14,000. Sorry. All of us. That means my great grandparents, my grandma, and my mom, and my family. What else? After that, my grandma moved to Portland. No, wait, scratch that. Don't think of that yet. My mom got pregnant, and 9 months later had a nice little baby. Her name's Jaden. She was premature, so we spent about a month with her down 3 hours away from here in a hospital. She was only 3 pounds and 7 ounces when she was born. She just wasn't growing, and anyways, 2 years later, well, almost 3, she'll be 3 in January. I have a beautiful little sister who is my entire life. Okay, where do I go from here? Rewind to when I said my grandma was moving to Portland, so about, almost 3 years ago. Grandma moved to Portland, which is like 4 hours away from where I live, and was waiting for a lung surgery, a transplant, there we go. She was there for, almost, I don't know, 6 months, something. My times aren't gonna add up, I'm sorry, I'm guessing. And then she moved to Seattle, which is about six hours away from us. So Jaden got to know her, but not very well. Finally, after being in Seattle for quite a while, my grandma got her surgery. And she was doing really good, and then things started to go downhill, and then they would go back uphill. It was like 2 steps forward and 1 step back. One night at around 10 or 11, I was visiting my ex-girlfriend, who lives around the Spokane area. I got a call from my mom, who was down in Seattle with my grandma after her surgery, that said, "Grandma's not doing so well, we're heading to the hospital." And that she said that my grandma wasn't expected to stay alive for the 20-minute drive until my mom got to the hospital. I packed up my stuff and left and drove 8 hours to Seattle. My grandma made it until my mom got to the hospital, and then they let her go. She passed away about 2 years ago in September. She was my rock. She was my world. She was basically my mom. She was the best woman I've ever met. Since she passed away, things have been really hard. I miss her every single day, but you know, she was kind of like the glue for the family. When she passed away, the family kind of fell apart a little bit. Everyone started fighting, and she wasn't there to be the peacemaker, and it's been tough, but it's been almost 2 years. How about present day? I live I live in my mom's house. She doesn't live here though. I live here with my little brother, who's 17. I'm 19. My mom lives with my great grandparents, whose health is deteriorating, so she takes care of them. My grandpa doesn't have any nerves in his legs anymore. Well, the nerves are dead. I mean, he can still kind of walk, but he falls down a couple times every day. He has the onset of Parkinson's, cancer survivor, but the cancer will come back. It's a kind that is going to come back. He's late 80s, early 90s. I don't remember. My great grandma is late 70s, early 80s. I don't remember. I sound like a terrible granddaughter right now. She does pretty good so far. I mean, she's had her health scares, but she's okay right now. I guess I could tell you about my siblings. I have Jaden, who I named Jaden Zandria, who is going to be 3 in January. She is my entire world, and she's the cutest thing, and I love her so much. And I have my little brother Stevie, who is 17. And I have my older brother Anthony, who lives in the same town, but I don't really talk to him, and I'm not entirely sure how old he is. I'm going to say 20, 21 maybe. And I have my younger sister Marissa, who is 19 as well. We're only 3 months apart. But we don't have, well, obviously we don't have the same mom. We have the same dad, and Anthony and Marissa and I have the same dad, and Stevie and Jaden have different dads. I'm not really sure what else to say. I'm sure I'm forgetting things, but that's my life in a nutshell. Yeah.